Born on February 15, 1910, Irena was raised as Catholic and, from the very beginning, taught to respect and love all people. Irena was born in Warsaw, Poland, but she grew up in Otwock as an only child. Her mother was a social worker, and her father was a doctor, the only doctor in the area that would treat Jews. Although he died from a typhus epidemic when she was only 7 years old, the lessons he taught her and the compassion he showed to all people continued to influence her later actions. I was taught that if you see a person drowning, you must jump into the water and save them, whether you can swim or not, said Irena. In 1939, when Irena was almost 30 years old, the Germans attacked Poland. Millions of Jews were being tortured and murdered. Families were separated, food was exceptionally scarce, and the conditions were atrocious. The Nazis had no mercy. Even the children were being exerted and tormented. Very few reached out to try to help the Jews and overcome this tragedy, but Irena felt that something had to be done.
At the time, Irena was a member of an organization that provided money, food, and assistance for the elderly, the poor, and the orphans. This organization operated the canteens in the city. Irena felt compelled to help the Jews, and with her assistance, the canteen started providing aid to Jews also. Irena gave Jews fake documents as well, creating aliases for them that would prevent them from being discovered. In 1942, Irena saw the Jewish people drowning, and she knew that she had to help. Despite her efforts to help the Jews, Irena felt that it was not enough. She joined Zagoda, the Council for Aid to Jews. With the help of a network of people, Irena managed to obtain a pass that allowed her to enter a Warsaw ghetto where thousands of Jews were being held in terrible conditions. With this pass, Irena entered the ghetto daily, bringing the Jews food, medicine, and clothing. The horrors she saw in the ghetto motivated Irena to take an even greater risk, a risk that, in the end, would save thousands. She chose to rescue the Jewish children. With the help of 25 other people, Irena smuggled out a total of 2,500 children in ambulances, loads of goods, body bags, coffins, potato sacks, toolboxes, and a church with 2 exits. The most difficult part of rescuing the children was convincing the parents to part with their kids. "Can you guarantee they will live?" Irena remembers the distressed parents asking. Irena could not guarantee that they would live, but she knew it was their best chance. "In my dreams, I still hear the cries of the children when they left their parents." She sedated many of the younger children so that the Nazis would not hear their cries. Irena also had a dog that she trained to constantly bark. This dog would drown out the children's cries if she had not sedated them. After she rescued the children, she sent them to orphanages, convents, and homes, creating false identities for them and making sure that these families and institutes knew that the children would be returned to their true parents after the war. "I sent most of the children to religious establishments. I knew I could count on the sisters," Irena said. Although these children were now safe, Irena wanted to keep records of them so that she could reunite them with their parents after the war. She hid these records, documents with the children's original names, parents, and new identities, in a jar and buried the jar under her apple tree. On October 20th, 1943, Irena was betrayed by a colleague. The Gestapo arrested and imprisoned her. She was tortured brutally, but refused to tell the Nazis any information about the children. They sentenced her to death, but at the last minute before execution, one of the associates bribed a Nazi guard. Irena's name was written on a list of those who had been executed, but eventually the Gestapo realized what had happened. After Irena escaped from imprisonment, she went into hiding from the Gestapo, who continually pursued her.
When the war ended, Irena dug up the records of the children and did her best to reunite the children she had rescued with their parents and relatives. Sadly, most of the parents had died. The majority of the children were adopted, sent to Israel, or put in foster homes.
Although Irena's deeds were undoubtedly valiant, she remained unrecognized until the 1960s. Even in 1965, when she was honored by Yad Vashem, the world's main Holocaust memorial and archive, as one of the righteous among nations, her name was still unfamiliar to the majority of the world. Several foundations and organizations gave awards and financial aid to Irena, yet her efforts remained unacknowledged. However, in 1999, 4 students in Kansas discovered Irena and revealed her story to the world. Megan Stewart, Elizabeth Cambers, Jessica Shelton, and Sabrina Coons conducted research for the project, which had to be consistent with the aphorism, "He who changes one person changes the world entirely." Undoubtedly, by recognizing Irena and sharing her remarkable story, they have done just that. The 4 students produced a play, which they called Life in a Jar, that portrays the struggles Irena went through to save thousands of people. They have performed this play more than 250 times, continuing to spread the exceptional account of Irena's life. In 2001, the students traveled to Poland to meet Irena and those she rescued. They corresponded with her through letters previously, in which Irena expressed her great gratitude for their accomplishments. In your sensitive hearts, you unconsciously felt what is generally referred to in your country as the Holocaust is inadequately understood. You decided to seek out the truth, and a small faint path led you to me, Irena said. However, the students had always dreamed of meeting her in person. By this time, Megan, Elizabeth, Jessica, and Sabrina had become knowledgeable on World War II, the Holocaust, and resistance organizations. They had appeared in the newspaper, magazine articles, and even on television, and had been invited to perform Life in a Jar in Washington, D.C. They had even shared the letters Irena sent them with universities, which started to use the documents as part of their teaching curriculum. In 2002, they traveled to Poland again with several others who had joined the project to interview survivors, meet with Irena again, and retrace her steps as a rescuer. With the help of an ever-expanding network of students, parents, and other founders of Life in a Jar, Irena's story continues to touch more and more people throughout the world. Despite her tremendous and incredible efforts, Irena does not think of herself as a hero. "I could have done more," she said. "This regret will follow me to my death." The dictionary definition of a hero is a man of distinguished courage or ability, admired for his brave deeds and noble qualities. People don't often realize that there is so much more that makes someone a hero. They must feel passion for what they are doing. They must put others before themselves. And they must work to correct the wrongs of the world. Irena did exactly that. In the turbulent and horrific times of the Holocaust, Irena saved over 2,000 Jewish children from torture and death at the hands of the Nazis. "Every child saved with my help is a justification of my existence on this earth, and not a title to glory," Irena Sendler said in a letter. Over a half-century has passed since the hell of the Holocaust, but its specter still hangs over the world and doesn't allow us to forget. On May 12, 2008, Irena tragically died at the age of 98. Her life efforts will continue to motivate people around the world to overcome prejudice. Less than a year before she died, Irena said, "After the Second World War, it seemed that humanity understood something, and that nothing like this would happen again. Humanity has understood nothing. Religious, tribal, national wars continue. The world continues to be in a sea of blood." Irena added, "The world can be better if there's love, tolerance, and humility." In those times there was darkness everywhere. In heaven and on earth, all the gates of compassion seemed to have been closed. The killer killed and the Jews died, and the outside world adopted an attitude either of complicity or of indifference. Only a few had the courage to care. Eli Wiesel.